when it feeds back in, they'll just be able to hear me. Alright, so both of our runners currently in Escape, working their way towards Zelda. Just got, I believe that was the small key? No, it was arrows. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. I saw a small key, and it was the one that was dropped from the guard, of course. But we found arrows there, and we did get bow as our weapon for today, so we had a little bit of a technical hiccup here, but we have basically caught up. Notably, they did in fact pick up the hook shot, it looks like, and some bombs there in Zelda Cell, which is always welcome on the way out here. Alright, so both runners on their way out of Escape. Will ever so slightly behind here. Just a second or two. But trust me, right after the Escape, the margin of difference between the two runners gets very, very blurry. Alright, so Frostbite and Will both making their way to the back of the throne room to push the good old sword decoration thing out of the way. I don't even know what you call that silly thing. But we are moving on to the back of Escape and get what I assume is going to be the small key out of the chest in Dark Cross here. Just basically due to lack of small key. I'm not a psychic or anything. And neither runner has any real incentive to sit here and farm up bombs, because they literally have a full complement of bombs due to Zelda's Cell having that 10 bomb drop. Alright, Frostbite into the left side. On the back of Escape here, we've got the map, a full heart, and a piece of heart. So, nothing earth-shattering, but you'd definitely rather have that now and have it taken care of than have to come back here. A little bit of a slight miscalculation from Frostbite on that first bomb to get out. Both runners making it out of Escape with, impeccable times here. Less than 6 minutes all around. And that is just what you want to see. The single arrow in the Sanctuary chest. And I mean, it's not like they couldn't use it. Like they didn't have max arrows. Alright. Neither runner appears to be going for the Aghanim check, which I can certainly understand. I personally wouldn't go there unless I had, like, a lamp or a sword or something that would point me in the possible direction of Aghanim. Boots, perhaps. Those blue rupees out of the tree pole, the tier 2 tree pole, are actually potentially important. Frostbite here is going for what I'm assuming is the South Shore play. We'll see if that ends up being a reasonable idea. Oh no, he's going straight to Eastern Palace. That's also a thing. Speaking of, we see Eastern and Desert are both crystals. I thought I might have seen a pendant up on Hera, but may or may not be accurate. Chat seems to be agreeing that it is in fact dependent, so I'm not crazy. Or at least not for that reason. A bunch of hearts in the back of Sazral's closet. Meanwhile, Blind's hut containing the Moon Pearl today. And the Cane of Samaria. Hello. All right. Will entering the well, finding what I'm assuming is a male upgrade, because you wouldn't start seeing green 20s for anything else this early. Got half magic, that's nice to have. And of course, a shield. So you would be surprised how much you end up relying on male upgrades and things like that in normal difficulty. Personally, my experience with the qualifiers and the whole hard item pool is pretty difficult, but we did see that Will WC did pick up a pair of flippers inside the chicken hut. Right. 50 rupees for Frostbite. Oh, I did not see what that was in the library. I was looking straight at it, and I still didn't see what it was. Gloves, that's what I thought. All right, I thought it was something important, but I was like, I didn't get to see it that quickly. So yeah, gonna need those. Therefore, the Pegasus boots will be sort of a paramount thing to find here. All right, a nice hookshot clip there from Will to sort of minimize the amount of times going in and out of this particular location. And now Frostbite will be heading for the boss of Eastern. Oh, hello, Will found a hammer. Oh, and the stun prize today is 20 rupees, so I mean, if you really wanted to farm for Zora, this is a way to do it. Yeah, it's very, very possible that those gloves are actually the later gloves in Logic. I wouldn't be surprised. Alright, looks like Will has acquired good old bladed weaponry. Good old-fashioned beatdowns. That crab just pulled off the biggest upset in the history of Zelda. And Frostbite with a very nice quick kill on Armos. And found a shield there as well. So nothing super important there in Eastern, but again, it's a crystal, and that's one on the board for Frostbite. Also, we know that both of our runners likely to finish on Fire Shield. So if you're a fan of the Fire Shield, like, I don't know, if you want to fight Blind or something, that's fun. All right. Ice Rod Cave has a fairy in a bottle, which I certainly would not be opposed to having. All right, so if I were Will here, I'd probably go for the... Okay, never mind. He's going to Eastern, apparently. I was thinking maybe he'd throw in Hobo while he's at it, but he probably would have gone there from Ice Rod Cave. Anyway. All right. Frostbite will also be picking up that sword momentarily. We'll see Will jump inside the good old Eastern Palace, just like Frostbite did a moment ago. Hey, and my apologies, but willkommen to all of the people coming in from SpeedGaming Deutsch. Coming in from a another match on the German channel. But here we've got Frostbite3030 and willwc. Again, first round of the main tournament here. Hi, Ravis. How's it going? All right. So both of our runners kind of retracing steps here. We know that Frostbite's about to pick up a bottle. That is going to help Frostbite, because he has yet to go to Kakariko Village. So he will be able to pick up the sick kid while he's there. Yeah, so from a logical standpoint and from a item distribution standpoint, Agina's Cave and Ice Rod Cave are exactly the same as any other place in the Light World that's initially available. So just as likely to contain an item, and just as likely to mess you up if you skip them. It's just nobody's skipping one of the chests in Blind's Hut for no reason. I will get another good look at that glove. Yes, it is in fact a glove on the library. Ooh, Will skipping the big key chest. That's a interesting play, but it does turn out it's going to be okay, as I recall there being a dungeon item in the big key chest. So Frostbite wasted quite a bit of time going to get that. All right, and Sick Kid today has just a piece of heart, so nothing that's that big a deal. All right, flippers for Frostbite, and just going to go ahead and put it all together. fire shield for Will. Frostbite's going to come in here, get the half magic and their fire shield. That is true. Houlihan is impossible with their loadout. Speaking of which, Will is clearly farming for Zora here. With some nice sun drops. We do see just a 20 rupees, big old 20 on Lake Hylia Island. Gonna go for Hobo here, which makes plenty of sense. Alright, 50 rupees for Will. That will put him into Zora range. Yeah, the Eastern Palace Big Key skip is like 2 minutes or something. Alright, Will. Another 300 rupees and the other glove, of course. There we go. Okay. So yeah, like we were saying, the boots could be locked way behind lots of things at this point. And before boots in the back of Swamp Palace. Because good old Dark World access has occurred. But we are going to go ahead and get that Zora check. Though it is kind of sad that Will spent all that time farming money, and Frostbite's just going to get 300 right here. I mean, it's good for Frostbite. Alright, so Will, starting from Link's house, looks like a run on Hype Cave. The cobbler would have some boots. I mean, it depends on what flavor of cobbler. Alright. Alright, full heart on our generous guy. Or, that's not the generous guy. It's the bat-like man. And a blue potion in a bottle. Very nice to have. But yeah, nothing... I'd give it a solid 2. Certainly nothing useful. Certainly nothing necessary. I wouldn't say no to a potion. Alright, so it looks like Swamp Palace and Thieves Town are our remaining pendants, and then the 5-6 crystals are Palace of Darkness and Misery Mire. Swamp Palace being the green pendant. It looks like Will is going for the dig game. And we've got Bombos at the digging game as Frostbite makes the other play, heading for the pyramid. And, either heading directly to Pod or perhaps to Catfish, depending on how salty he feels. Just a vanilla piece of heart there on the pyramid ledge as Will decides to head over to West Dark World. I'm assuming. Well, gonna get the sick kid first. And yes, Frostbite does appear to be going for the Catfish play here. Of course, Frostbite could decide to go west from here, also to West Dark World. Though, in Frostbite's position, I'd probably be tempted to head for Pod. Just because you got to do it anyway. I mean, it depends on how comfortable you are with Dark Pod in the current situation. And just a big 20 from Catfish. Frostbite went ahead and grabbed it. Sorry about that. Went ahead and grabbed it. I'm assuming he grabbed it, noticing what his rupee count was for Pod. Alright, so Will is going to sort of sneak into Skull Woods here. Can't actually beat Skull Woods, but does have the Cane of Samaria, making this particular check significantly easier. And just a key there, so I imagine Will just be walking out here. There are some scenarios in which, if I didn't get a key there, I'd probably go grab the one under the pot so I could clear out the front. But yeah, we won't be able to beat Skull Woods until the Fire Rod becomes available. And that was, in fact, both items for Will in the front of Skull Woods. So he is just going to piece right out. And Frostbite is electing to go south first. Let's see what's going on here. Getting the free 100 rupees from the non-placed item there in the chest game, and then 20 rupees as the item itself. I'm going to go ahead and open Thieves' Town, but not walk in just yet. I imagine looking to clear this area out. Some runners, I imagine, will probably go for the first 4 chests of Thieves' Town. I don't expect them to clear it out, unless perhaps they get no items in the front. We've got both runners converging on the same building right now, and they find a cape. All right, Frostbite is peeking into Thieves' Town. Yeah. Checking the first 4 of Thieves' Town is, I would say, never a bad idea. And we get a lamp, so if you were worried about Thieves' Town at all, Pod at all, you shouldn't be anymore. And just some bombs there for Frostbite. So yeah, he is piecing right out, having found... Will is finding out the hard way. Oh, got Quake as well. That was the other thing that was in here. Yeah, Will is finding out the hard way that the pots that have a bunny beam underneath them cannot be hookshot to. It's really weird, but you can't do it. And it looks like I am being joined here by Tau Decay. I feel like that's named after some sort of radiation. And as a co-commentator, so hello and thanks for joining me.
You are correct, Dr. Bob, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm happy to join you in the comm booth. This will be my first commentary for the tournament, but yeah, I was watching the seed, I saw you flying solo, and I thought that guy could use a co-pilot.
Sounds good to me. Meanwhile, in this particular situation, we've got some Palace of Darkness about to happen for Frostbite. Most of the light world was checked. It's pretty standard Dark World access, though. We know that the second glove is actually on the library, so that's sort of the sticking point right now. You'd have to find the Pegasus boots to get those.
All right, we got a good old-fashioned boots hunt so that we can get a little bit more Dark World access going on.
And Will did check the Lumberjack Cave there. I didn't quite see what it was, but I think it was red, and I think everything relevant that was red is done. I mean, the fire rod would be sort of red, but it would be white first before it's red.
Yeah, that's a good point. Probably a heart piece or another big 20 over there.
Yeah. I should increase my window size. Now, there we go. All right. So Frostbite into Palace of Darkness, like you do. Finding the first key in the left side. Pretty unsurprising there. Looks like Will went ahead to go to Death Mountain here instead of Palace of Darkness. Frostbite finds a heart in the bridge chest there, which means we won't be going directly to the big key chest. But that can usually be a blessing, because often there's a small key there anyway.
Yeah, and luckily having the lamp now is not going to have to deal with any dark rooms, which I believe he made the early Eastern play earlier and had to do a little bit of navigating.
Yeah, both runners actually did finish Eastern Palace without the lamp, but luckily they were able to pick that up in Thieves Town just now. And Will is in Paradox Cave. Hasn't found anything in the two below, but we're going to have 5 more to check here in a second.
All right, a little bit more love on the right side.
Just a small key and a map. So we can confirm that the big key chest has a small key, and let me tell you what Paradox Cave has. It's a sword and a fire rod.
That's some good value in Paradox.
All day. So we're missing a pair of boots so we can get the glove. We're missing a ice rod for Trinex. And technically we may not even need the mirror.
Yeah, that the mirror might be skipped. We'll have to see. But yeah, we also have the fun Schrodinger's Ether Medallion for our Mire and Turtle Rock access.
Somebody's saying powder happened, and I did not get nearly excited enough for that. I'm guessing it was over in Pod while I was paying attention to Paradox Cave. Oh, Floating Island. Ooh.
Interesting. So, so with that unnecessary mirror, that's presenting some interesting opportunities with that chain.
Yeah, I think the only necessary item that could be behind it, though, would be the ice rod.
Yeah, the ice rod can be literally anywhere that's not Ganon's tower or Trinex himself.
Yep. It's kinda the worst.
Oh.
Inspires bad parody music. I mean, what? Apparently, Will is deciding to invest in evil stocks today.
Alright, so we have both runners making the pod play. Frostbite's about wrapping up at this point. Will just making his entry. It's making some good sense. You know, it's clearable, crystal, good item density. So, given that Will's got this stuff from the mountain, do you think Frostbite's going to be heading up there after this, or is he maybe going to try to dive somewhere else?
I mean, there's not a whole ton left, right? I mean,
you know, you're right. You know, I've with 35 into the seed, and we're already doing these dungeons, and I just completely skipped through my brain that Titan's Mit's still not a thing. So yeah, a little restricted.
Yeah. The only thing Will didn't do, I think, is he didn't go into Tower of Hera or Spike Cave at all. So that could be a thing for later.
Yeah, Spike Cave does like to hold those random isolated items sometimes, and Hera not looking too appetizing, what with being a pendant tonight. But we'll have to see if there ends up being something valuable in there.
Personally, I can almost never resist going into Hera, even when it's a pendant, at least just to look at the front. I don't generally like to completely finish it, but it's possible. Alright, so Will going to get that heart, and Frostbite going to go to Helmasaur and commence the beatdowns. Literally. Now, Frostbite is in a little bit of a annoying situation in that he's only got the fighter sword, so yeah, I would definitely be busting out arrows here.
Yeah, he's got a nearly full quiver, no problem.
Yeah. I know some people who would go for hammer strats there, and to those people I say, you have more courage and dexterity than I do.
Alright, getting some explosives off Helmasaur and that crystal, but yeah, Frostbite up to 2 now.
Alright, so I imagine this will be Frostbite heading up to Death Mountain. I'm not convinced that Will went up and checked like Spectacle Rock Cave and stuff either, but I wasn't paying a huge amount of attention at that point.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that was when I was getting a little set up, so I cannot help out with that, but I'm sure that chat has us covered on that. I know that they're very eagle-eyed and eager to point out stuff that we have a tendency to miss. And there we go, looking like no spec rock check yet.
Yeah, so basically all of the western summit of Death Mountain is still unknown. Alright, Frostbite picking up those 300 rupees in case, you know, potions are necessary for later. Which personally for me in this particular set of, you know, modes with the hard item pool, potions are always necessary for me.
Yeah, I personally do not mess with the hard item pool, but I'm not a great runner of this game. I just like talking about it sometimes. But hey, here we got Frostbite giving us those West Death Mountain checks.
Be thankful to the people running the Challenge Cup where they made it just normal item pool. For those of us who couldn't quite make the cut. Anyway.
All right, so Spec Rock having quite a bit of hearts going on.
And looks like Frostbite is going for the Spike Cave play right now, and then can just save and quit back to the old man's cave. So that's pretty heads-up play there.
Yeah, nice clean routing. So Magic Cape, half magic, easy traversal of Spike Cave, and let's see what we got.
Oh!
The boots! Oh ho!
Oh snap, folks. Spike Cave boots absolutely required, as Frostbite will be heading to pick up the second glove straight away. Okay, going for Bonk Rugs first. Fair enough.
Adding in a little routing, you know, this is it's the sign of like the high level runners. You know, you got to keep in mind the stuff that.
We take
like
those.
Right yeah. So between the with the sword in Paradox Cave, Frostbite's going to get his tempered once he heads back up the mountain. But in the meantime,
I guess he's going to go check the lumberjack because technically Aghanim's in logic now.
Yeah, when you're zooming like this, these checks get a lot more appealing.
Alright, yeah, so yeah, that was in fact a big 20.
Alright, so Will has some extra Death Mountain checks on Frostbite right now, but the important thing is for him, once he's done with Pod, how long is it going to take Will to get to Spike Cave? Because every minute he doesn't have those boots, Frostbite is gaining valuable frames on it, being able to zip around the world.
Well, I don't think it's going to take him that long because, again, you know, doing the math, there's not a ton left. I think really all he had was those West Death Mountain checks. In fact, he's already checked all of Skull Woods, and I don't think Frostbite has done that, so...
Yeah, and I don't think... I don't know. I mean, if you've finished up Skull Woods, you probably wait a little bit, even though you've got the Fire Rod.
There's no reason to go chasing Skull Woods right now. Oh, you know what I forgot about us needing in terms of items? We need a flute.
Yeah, gonna be a little hard to get into Mire without that flute.
I was just thinking overworld glitches. We'll just get in there with the boots. Nah, I don't think they let you do that.
So now has Will done Pyramid Check? Is that where we think he's heading?
No, yeah, you're right. He has not done. All right, Frostbite getting up to Tempered Sword. Always feels good.
Yeah, it's been a big few minutes for Frostbite with the boots, the mitts, and now up to going from fighter to tempered. It's been very, very good for him.
Now, Frostbite will be able to also head to the Dark World and check things like Hookshot Cave, etc. Unless he finds the mirror, though, he will not be able to get that powder just yet.
Yeah, that powder just sitting there on the floating island is so tantalizing.
Powder is much, much more valuable when all you're going to get is green mail. And let me tell you, I've said this before, I will say it again, green mail sucks hard.
No, I agree.
In chat we had Vortex saying that I think you dip Turtle Rock here if it's Quake, but it doesn't look like Frostbite is going to give himself the opportunity. Well, with the not entering at that on top of Turtle Rock. All right, Super Bunny Cave, 20 rupees and 100 rupees. More like Super Money Cave, am I right? Okay, I'm done.
All right, let's see where Will's going.
Yeah, and this is what I was thinking Will would end up doing. Because, Hera's part of it, he can go over to Hera, finish that, and then jump down to Spike Cave. We see a book from Frostbite, which is interesting. It would be interesting to find, say, the flute in desert.
Oh wow, yeah, flute in desert required from Meyer, and Quake, we got a vanilla Turtle Rock.
And so that momentary dip into Thieves Town, both logically and actually required now. Because the lamp is nice, but the Quake is straight up required.
Alright, Will grabbing a little bit more safety. Nice little bottle of red goo just waiting for us to be picked up in Tower of Hera.
Mm-hmm. Alright. Will going for the chest here. It's either small key or big key. Gross.
And Frostbite going for the Ice Palace play.
Will is foregoing the play at the big chest here in Hera, so if that turns out to be important, that could be a pretty big deal. But yeah, Frostbite going for ice. Finds Kane and Brian. Hello, Brian. What are you doing here?
He's just chilling out. Thank you.
You're not wrong. Alright, Will versus Moldorm. This is going to be a pendant drop, unfortunately, but who knows what Moldorm will have. And we know it's not going to be the big key. Could be an item. And it is! Will saved by the Moldorm item. Does not have to worry about the big key or big chest.
Alright, so Ice Palace so far not really holding anything.
For those of you on Pedestal Watch, the pedestal just died. Not really. The flute can still be there. But we did just find the ice rod there. And yeah, it could also be ether for Misery Mire. Looks like Will is going to, if I'm not mistaken, actually last location the boots. Which is not going to feel good.
No, it's probably going to start feeling a little behind after this.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Nobody's checked Agina's cave. It's not actually last location.
Agina is the location so last, we forget to even include it with the last location list.
Doesn't exist. Somebody seems to be under the impression that we saw it, but I don't remember seeing it. And Will picking up Tempered Sword. So both runners now on what I call reasonable weaponry.
Yeah, especially in a hard mode seed. Yeah, it's you like having that weapon, so you know you're not getting bodied by all the random enemies that love to take huge chunks out of your poor little papery green mail.
Very nice shell destruction from Frostbite there, and then unloading the fire rod. Cold Stare just goes down in a hurry.
All right, so we got our very appropriate ice rod out of Ice Palace and our crystal.
Minor bit of trivia there, that small key on Cold Stare means that the Cane of Samaria was logically required to beat that dungeon.
Huh, I did not know that.
I got a bunch of random trivia that just comes from playing too much Key Sanity. Looks like Will is also going to go for that Ice Palace play, which we know to be a pretty reasonable play, especially given that Ice Rod.
Yeah, plus, you know, getting Ice Rod is, since that can be anywhere, that's...
Okay. Frostbite has located the mirror inside King's Tomb.
So, how do we feel about Flute being locked somewhere behind that powder?
Ooh. I mean, I like it more than the alternative, which is Flute being locked in Swamp Palace. This would be a reasonable time for Frostbite to sort of do like the Smith chain sort of thing.
I think he agrees with you.
Especially now that you've got that mirror, you can sort of add in Graveyard Ledge. Up here, you can add in Cave 45 / whatever.
Yeah, Frostbite giving us the
also
Dark World
Bombos tablet, since we got the book.
Yeah, and you know, if he also finds himself in Skull Woods sometime soon, maybe, and there's still no sign of the flute, maybe we can get a quick pet check thanks to that book.
Wouldn't be terrible. Wouldn't be a terrible idea.
Big old pile of cash, no interest.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in a bank or anything. It's just sitting there. It's not making any money. Anyway, I'm done.
Alright, so yeah, it looks like Frostbite is going to do Skull Woods and will be clearing it since it is a crystal.
Frostbite getting a little bit bounced around there. Big key for Will. Strangely enough, Will didn't he didn't set up the switch on the way down here, so he had to go grab that key so he could get downstairs.
Now, was the ice rod on Cold Stare? I thought that was from a.
No, it was in H room or U room, the one where you have to use the hammer.
The letter room that is not the T room.
Correct. H room. I had it right the first time.
Alright, so Will finishing off the cold boss as Frostbite starts on the moth with the fire rod.
And beatdowns on both sides. Well done to both, as Will finishes off and decides to save and quit. Alright, so Will is going back up the mountain. He has not checked Dark Death Mountain yet, so that's what we're expecting here.
It looks like Frostbite is still has at least one item left here in Skull Woods.
The one item he's looking for is in the pot prison, which is a little unfortunate given the way he routed this, because he went for the first item right away, and instead he's going to have to walk around.
Well, luckily he's got that mirror, and speaking of the mirror, here we go. Attaboy, Frostbite. Let's see that ped.
All right. Do we have it? What is it? Oh, I am. That makes me happy. So usually when I see that message, I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to use that for a bow. But not in this mode. Not in this mode.
Just a green 20.
And it's kind of sad. So like in this case, you'll see that'll be an indication that it's a bow. You'll pick it up, it's not a bow. And then sometimes in areas where there's a bow, just progressive bow just lying on the ground somewhere, you'll see the bow, you'll pick it up, and it'll be a green 20. Just because that's how this mode goes. You get that faint glimmer of hope that, oh, am I gonna get to use silvers finally? No, you're not. This is the nightmare you are stuck with.
Yeah, you got to give that little glimmer of hope before you snuff it out. Now, Frostbite, heading back to Death Mountain, he's got Quake, he's got both rods, he's got Cane of Samaria. Are we going into Turtle Rock already?
I definitely smell some Turtle Rock. I smell what the Turtle Rock is cooking.
And I don't believe Frostbite has I don't believe Frostbite's checked out Tower of Hera yet either, so he'll probably go ahead with Turtle Rock, mirror out, and maybe give Tower of Hera a quick look, assuming that we don't find that flute in Turtle Rock.
And Will is also going into Turtle Rock, having come in from the actual top of Turtle Rock here. So both runners going to be doing Turtle Rock at the same time. The only difference is that Frostbite will be able to get Mimic Cave.
Yeah. Oh, wow. If something's in Mimic Cave, that's... oof.
Yeah, if say the flute is in Mimic Cave, that's probably GG.
I didn't want to say that out loud.
Well, I qualified it with a probably. That's the point. I'm not gonna lie to people.
I don't know. I feel like, you know, when you say it out loud, that's when you actually invoke the commentator's curse.
Will has done one of the boot checks. He's gotten the Tempered Sword, but has not done King's Tomb because You know, he did the first one on the way to getting the glove, which was on library.
That is correct. And, oh, Will getting hit with the chain chomp.
And that fairy from way back in Ice Rod Cave coming back to help us out here.
Alright, now just need that switch to cooperate. Alright, he earned that 20.
It's a hard-fought 20. Alright, so I expect both of our runners will not skip the middle chest here, given the fact that we're still looking for something important.
Yeah, especially Will, because Will does not have that mirror, and you know, skipping a mirror in Turtle Rock and not being able to get to Mimic Cave would just be, oh, that'd be even worse.
Alright, and there we see Will heading into the big key chest. Frostbite will be close behind, and just a piece of heart, so neither runner picking up a ton of advantage there, and we'll be heading outside. And this will be where there's a minor divergence between the two runners. Okie dokie, we've got Will heading outside. Frostbite also about to head outside, just a couple of screens behind here. And Will heading into the big chest. While Frostbite, I imagine, will be switching to the mirror for a quick check into Mimic Cave.
Yeah, here we go, moment of truth for Mimic Cave.
Just a green 20, so I mean, at this point, could have been a piece of heart or something.
Yeah,
Depending on how many big hearts we found, that sort of thing.
Well, I believe that we still had the two big hearts on Spectacle Rock nobody's gotten.
Well, once you find enough hearts, or big hearts, or depending on how it's done, they turn into, you know, normal heart, or 20s and things like that.
Right. Could also have been some of the armor, could have been the last shield, last sword.
Yeah. Plenty of things it could have been. But the important thing is not particularly relevant for this seed. Will busting out some Brian strats here. Because why not? That's going to do it for the contents of Laser Bridge.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that, especially after taking that death to the chain chomps and losing the safety fairy. Definitely don't want to take a death on Trinex.
Alright, Will off to fight Trinex. See what we find here. Nice quick work of the fire head, not allowing any ice to get spit all over the ground, and onto the final head. Spin and 3 slashes and it's down.
And some bombs.
Alright, so Will finishing up with Turtle Rock. That gives him 4 crystals. Frostbite will be picking up his 5th crystal here.
Yeah, so Will has exhausted the mountain at this point without that mirror. Unlike Frostbite, he would be unable to go over and grab the powder having finished up.
So Frostbite can grab the powder. Another thing he could do that he hasn't done, or that neither runner has done yet, is check that ether tablet.
Yeah, that's a great point. Ether might be vanilla or have the flute, because again, we still have not gotten to Misery Mire to know whether or not ether is required.
Right, so Will is going to sneak into Desert here. There's 2 items within Desert proper. And the 1 item on the ledge there, just the blue boomerang, which I don't imagine Will go out of his way for.
Yeah, I think that would only help you in this tower for like a couple rooms with some trickery, but I don't think it's worth going out of the way for.
All right, big key. And small key. So both acquired. Will's going to go ahead and grab the contents of the big chest, I imagine. And then, depending on what this is, alright, it's a dungeon item, so I might be inclined to just go ahead and go to the right here. If it wasn't, I would have gone straight for the boss for sure. It looks like he's just going to go straight for the boss anyway.
Yeah, again, having last location those boots, or nearly last location those boots, depending on whether or not Agino was checked, he is probably feeling like he was a little behind. So, rushing to the boss was, taking a little bit of a gamble, but that's what you want to do when you think that you might have some time to recover.
All right, so welcome to everybody coming in from SpeedGaming 3. I know we've been having a veritable smorgasbord of all the Zelda rando you can eat today, and we've got some more of that here for you between Frostbite3030 and willwc. This is game 2, Frostbite having taken the first one, and both runners sort of on a search for the flute right now, with a potential need for the ether medallion, but we don't know for sure.
That's right, and major difference between our runners at this point right now is that Frostbite picked up the mirror. We have confirmed that Mimic Cave and Turtle Rock did not have anything of value, but we do still not know if the flute is locked behind the mirror or not, which could be a big game for Frostbite if that turns out to be the case.
Alright, so both items we just saw for Desert there, and neither of them turning out to be relevant. So that's not gonna, help Will get any closer to finishing here. There is also the random possibility that Frostbite would need the Bombos medallion that Will has to get into Mire.
Yeah.
But we don't know about that yet. Bombos was in fact on the dig game.
All right, yeah, because I was just looking at the tracker and wondering about that, how he had missed Bombos. It's it's one of those interesting things that I've been noticing a lot with this tournament. A lot of checks that I think that we used to take for granted in the past that runners would do like immediately once they had access to them, have been put off quite a lot. Earlier this week, there was a scene where somebody didn't even get to Kakariko Village until 40 minutes in, and it wasn't a bad play either.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that seed, or at least something like it. Because as many seeds as get run, you're going to see a lot of seeds that kind of blend together, not going to lie.
Yeah, they do that after a certain moment. You get that kind of, that randomizer fugue state.
Lol. Alrighty. Oh my goodness, Will is doing a Gina's cave. What's up? just piece of heart. And that'll do it for there. Alright, Will probably heading for King's Tomb here. Which, as we know, is going to be a pretty good move. At least from what I can tell.
Yeah, and for him, this is also going to be, because I'm pretty sure Will already checked Pyramid and Catfish. So for him, this is also, again, nearly last locationing another item.
And for all this last locationing he's doing, he's not actually that far behind. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I mean, you know, I think he's already done the items in Skull Woods, so he just needs to get back over there and kill Moth. But otherwise, these guys are pretty much tied. In fact, now with that mirror, Will is now ahead on a medallion.
Is Will about to make this swamp dip?
I mean, at this point, he's exhausted almost everything else in Swamp Palace. It's got a lot of items on it, plus that green pendant.
Okay, he's going for Bombo's tablet here. First.
Actually, I don't think Frostbite hit this yet, so we'll get to find out.
Just 10 arrows for Bombo's tablet. Will is going to go get back in that portal, though, so that could be sending him towards Swamp. Or maybe he'll go for, like, Cave 45 or stuff up there. Oh, looks like he's about to bite the bullet here. Pendant Swamp Dip, folks.
Alright, Frostbite finally making his way over to that digging cave.
Yeah, Frostbite's about to do some Smith chain, I think.
Yeah, you know, I like to see this because at this point, with how even these runners are, we're getting to see two different things right now, and you know, it's got to be somewhere around here, and we're gonna actually find out where that final go mode is.
Or at least 2/3 go mode.
Yeah, well, yeah, with that ether medallion.
Alright, piece of heart for Will in first Justice Swamp. Or second if you're a Key Sanity player.
Alright, let's see what the Smiths have forged. Alright, they made bombs with a forge. Good job.
I mean, probably had some materials for that lying around, I guess.
And now Frostbite, having that mirror, is going to be able to do magic bat.
Alright, powder time for the bat. What do we have? $50 rupees. Again, not the world's most important thing. See, and this is why green mail sucks. Because those silly water things, they deal 2 hearts of damage. That's ridiculous. There's the flute!
Oh, wow.
Swamp Palace, ladies and gentlemen. Not even left side swamp. Just kind of a mini dip. And that is going to give Will sort of the driver's seat here.
Yeah, wow. I mean, with how much longer it was that Frostbite has had that mirror, and now that being the location that finally paid off, yeah, did not expect this.
And Will be activating the flute. Everyone say hi to the world's favorite swag duck as he breaks out of the statue like you do.
All right, so sometime in the next 15 or 20 seconds, we are going to find out. Are we on an ether hunt, or are we in go mode?
I'd have personally been tempted to go finish off Skull Woods right there, if I were Will, just because I was right there. But then again, I'm constantly wrong about everything. It is just the Quake medallion, so didn't even need Bombos.
Yeah, double Quake tonight for the medallions, and that is officially go mode for Will.
Alright, now Frostbite is down here near Swamp, so this Smith Chain play could end with a Swamp Dip, which would put him, in a much better position. Because keep in mind, he has finished Skull Woods and Will has not, so Will will have to go back and finish that before going to Ganon's Tower. So it's going to be I imagine it's going to be a pretty close race if Frostbite goes directly for Swamp here.
Yeah, it looks like he is. And yeah, with that Skull Woods difference, that's gonna. Oh, this is gonna be really close. I am. These are good. I like these races.
All right, small key for Will in the first bridge chest there, so no temptation to bust out the sick hover skills and go across the gap. Gotta get the big key first. Even if you can do the sick hover, you need the big key just to get into the final boss door. I have forgotten about that before. Will still yet to find the big key. So that's a compass on the left side here. That doesn't mean that the vanilla big key room doesn't have it. What you can say is that if that chest is a small key, then the vanilla big key room does have it. But you can't say anything if it's not the small key. There we go. One big key for Will, and one skipped cutscene room. Seems pretty good to me. All right, Frostbite will be picking up the flute momentarily. So again, this is gonna be pretty close. And Frostbite is in fact mirroring out. No intent to look for another medallion. Just gonna go ahead and piece right out. Looks like he's just gonna dash right back up to town. I don't know which is faster. This is probably faster if you do it correct. And Will got the spooky setup, just like you do. For those of you who have no idea what's going on and why are these blocks moving on their own, let's see. It's what's called the spooky action glitch. I was gonna say it's a new glitch. No, it was like almost 2 years ago now or more when that was discovered and added. But it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting explanation behind it, but it would take a little bit longer to explain why it happens. Oh no, Will, no! Oh. Will has taken a death on Vitreous. That is unfortunate. But Will should be able to recover nicely. So one thing, if you're not super comfortable with the vanilla strat for Vitreous, Will could decide to use the cape here. The cape would do you some real good, I think. Yeah, I definitely get greedy with potions as well. But yeah, my favorite strat for Vitreous, at least for safety's sake, if I have the cape, is to just put the cape on, get in there, and spam the heck out of the sword. Looks like Will is shifting to cape strats here, so he's going to go ahead and looked like he was doing some spins, and then now he's deciding to just go with the slashes like you do. A little bit of spin, and there we go. On to the bow for Vitreous. In the face. And Will finishes off the Vidi. Alright, so Will now need to get to Skull Woods and finish that as soon as possible, while Frostbite finishes off Misery Mire. Very quick flute to 3. And Frostbite now heading to the basement of Mire, so assuming the spooky was set up correctly, we can expect a quick run through. Probably going to fill up with magic here, yes. Just so that, spooky can happen. But yeah, Will basically last location both the boots and the mirror. But then chose the right place to go for the flute after picking up that mirror, and made up a lot of time. You'd be a little higher there, Frostbite. It's right at the 3rd tile down.
Sorry about that. I had to step out of the booth for a minute. It sounded like I missed Will having some issues with Vitreous.
Yeah, Will did in fact fall to Vitreous the first time, but we are getting simultaneous boss fights, boss entries, and everything. This is kind of sick. So Will is finishing the Moth fight a little bit before Frostbite finishing Vitreous. But I mean, they're both going to finish this. They're both going to get the heck up to the mountain and get out. So You want to talk? You want to talk a quick race, or a close race?
Yeah, this is literally just going to come down to GT routing and execution.
Speaking of GT routing and execution, do we do key game in this?
I do not know how to start it, so maybe somebody does.
I don't have a mod on this channel. There it is. Oh, it's using a different thing. So yeah, we got 22 locations for the Gannon Star Big Key. Get your guesses in. It's for fun. It's for maybe a little bragging rights, maybe a little scoreboard. Not a huge deal, but it's kind of fun to check out and try.
So, Dr. Bob, Doc Bob, I'm actually not sure what you may prefer being addressed, but yeah, what are you feeling for the Big Key tonight?
Well, my contractually obligated guess would be Bob's Chest, just because I do want to reiterate that it's not named after me. It's named after the Anti-Fairy, which is also not named after me. But it's still there just for fun purposes. So usually I'll pick either 14 or 18, depending on whether I think they're going to go left or right.
Well, you know, I'll go in the middle. I'll take that sweet 16.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so if I counted that properly, the runners are just shy of 6 seconds apart right now.
Oh, this is a race, y'all. All right, small key on the torch. Frostbite going right first. Finds bombs and a small key. Elected to continue to go right. So we're going to get different checks all the way around. Frostbite skipping Tower Room because who in the world would do Tower Room right now?
A madman.
There's our Ether Medallion. And a small key. Will with the heads up play. That was a heck of a play right there. He's like, hey, Ether, I can one-shot these things. I'll take it.
Yeah, that's the perfect placement for that medallion and the perfect time to use it.
All right, Frostbite does not find the big key in the compass room. And so if Will continues left side here, we can expect a little bit of an advantage for Will. Unless, of course, it's in Tower Room.
I was just going to say.
Though, if I've cleared out all of left side, I'm much more inclined to do Tower Room as I go through.
All right, well, Will's coming up on Rando Room here, so let's see what this one's going to hold. Arrows and cash.
All right. Yeah, so... All right. So we're looking at either vanilla big key room, Bob's chest, or
Tile room.
Tile room. Now we're going to be using Will's number here, and if I'm not mistaken, this would be 12 for Bob's chest.
I will take your word on that because I forgot that I'm supposed to be counting these chests. Very nice kill.
Mm-hmm. Gross. So, learning from chat apparently it was in Tower Room the last time these two played as well.
The Madman's Dream.
What the heck is going on?
Question is Will keeping that in mind right now?
Well, looks like a no.
All right, so the seed where we had one of our runners last location boots, last location mirror, and it looks like both runners are about to last location GT Big Key.
Seems good.
So we started this with a 6-second differential between our runners, and we'll get to see exactly when they pick up that big key, how far apart they are.
It was like, really? And he is going to go ahead and forego the key in the next room. That is fine, because he does have one key, and that's enough to get there, as long as you remember to kill the Helmosaurs in the upstairs room. Although, I think given the current configuration, there's also guaranteed to be a key up there. Like, the way I've counted it. Or maybe I'm making that up.
No, it sounded legit to me. I mean, if you did make it up, it was extremely persuasive.
I've got at least one chat member who is on board with that. And there we go, Will picking up the big key in chest number 22. And Frostbite picking it up at that moment. So Will did in fact improve his lead there a little bit.
Yep, it has gone from it has gone from 6 seconds to about 20 seconds right now.
Will currently on 2 arrows. That's fun. Luckily, what with the whole not having silvers thing, arrows not nearly as relevant.
Yeah, luckily.
Very nice first gauntlet room. We're kind of handing out those fire rod shots here.
Alright, Frostbite starting up his gauntlet, just 2 rooms behind. Also very clean first room.
And Will is going to go ahead and chug a potion. Definitely a good call at that point.
So let's see how Will's Landmo fight goes, because if this could be a time for Frostbite to make up some ground here.
Oh, ugly dash there for Landmo, the third Landmo.
Beautiful
Frostbite with the 1 cycle. Oh, the time just got real close.
What is that, like 4 seconds, 5 seconds?
Something to that effect. Yeah, about 4.5. Oh, Frostbite taking an extra cycle in the second Wizrobe room. That's unfortunate.
Well, I'm not sure I've seen a race this tight at this stage of, like, oh wow, this is... Can't even talk properly right now.
Will remembering to grab the key. Frostbite will not have to grab the key, so that's going to save a little time there. Now, Will does not have the powder, but does not really need it here. And we're on to Moldorm 2.
3-second difference.
Alright, that was a 6-second difference on the stairs there. Oh, Will losing a little time with that hook shot. I mean, maybe that's intentional. I don't know the strat anymore. Never had a standardized strat for that room.
Alright, now we're on to Agate 2. Let's see how many cycles we got.
Alright, 2 for Will. As Frostbite sets up a slightly different location, only gets 1. Will getting a second double. And Frostbite again getting trolled by the blue balls there, only getting 1. He does get the double there, and Will, barely gets that 1 in time. Frostbite's going to take 1 extra cycle here, it looks like.
Oh boy. $12, 10 seconds is that? I think that's 10.
Alright, so the Ganon drop at 134.55 for Will WC. Ganon drop for Frostbite at 135.05. 10 seconds between our runners. Any sort of mishap could completely change the outcome of this race. Will getting very nice position for this second phase here.
Chugging that safety potion, excellent call. Oh man, this might, if somebody does or doesn't get torch glitched, I mean that's gonna be it.
And you definitely want to try to get torch glitch here. Will switching to the lamp to make sure that happens. It's a much more reliable source of torch glitch.
Ganon feeling very teleporty on his final phase here.
Alright, Will entering phase 2, or phase 4, the thing where you do the slide spins. And setting up for a triple spin here. Frostbite also into the final phase. Such a close race.
Yes, the Ganon fight started about 9 seconds apart. The final phase Ganon.
Will getting some very nice triple cycles here. 1 more for Will do it. And that's it. Basically, flawless Ganon fight from Will and Frostbite there to wrap it up. And we're going to game 3, folks.
Oh, wow.
Will finishing with a 1:37.08 time. I got to go look at the official time real quick. We had official times of Will with 1:37.09, Frostbite with 1:37.18. 9 seconds separating our 2 runners here. What a race. My goodness.
Wow. That was a finish.
It just all went wrong.
Oop. And we are now joined by our 2 runners are two quick, extremely close race runners, Will, WC, and Frostbite3030. That was a race. My goodness.
Yeah, GG's Frostbite. I was sweating that one out the whole way.
Yeah. GG's, dude. Yeah, I don't like. I have no emotion, so I'm just kind of like sitting here calm, like do. But like, yeah, it didn't feel good. Like I felt pretty good until like halfway through, and then the longer you go, when you're only looking for one thing and you can't find it, the worse you just start to feel.
For sure, and I mean, I felt that way pretty much about the boots because of just how long it took me to get to them. And knowing that they were gating the mitts for so long,
Yeah, exactly. I felt great about getting the boots because I did what I would normally do there, which is just first I hadn't been up the mountain yet, so it was just like, old man, check the spectacle rock straight into Spike Cave. And honestly, I watched a match earlier and it led me to check Spike Cave. Let's just say that, and I was happy about it, and then I felt great about going back right up to the mountain after going and getting the stuff. I didn't route stuff cleanly though. It's like I feel a little rusty. Like I haven't played as much leading up to this as I'd like, and I'm in that mode where I feel like I'm second guessing everything after the fact, thinking, oh, this would have been faster, this would have been faster, and I want to get back in that phase where it's like, oh, this is exactly what I want to do immediately. But no, this was like, I felt I played pretty good, so this was a good win for you, Will. I congratulate you, and yeah, Game 3 is probably going to be super close as well, because the first two, you easily could have won the first race as well. It wasn't quite this close, but it was super close, and yeah,
yeah, for sure. We haven't played a boring match yet.
No, exactly. Well, they've been kind of boring, honestly, from our perspective, because I think we both, like, basically last located or almost last located with a few exceptionally terrible spots, our go modes in both of them. So there is that. But no, they've been, I'm sure, like, if you're on the outside, it's a different story, right?
Right. I am tired of last located. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, Will basically last located both the boots and the mirror, but then very quickly after the mirror, went for swamp and got the flute. So it wasn't actually a go mode last location here, but it was still very close.
Yeah, exactly. But it makes sense though, right? Because I would have done the same thing, because you don't want to, like, I guess you could think, oh, I found this mirror so late, if it's not like Graveyard Ledge, I'm toast. But like Graveyard Ledge is a horrible check from standing right there, so it absolutely makes sense to go right into swamp, where I found it pretty early, so it led me to just check everything, you know what I mean? So it is what it is, right? Like sometimes in rando, getting the item early isn't better.
Exactly, especially when it's something that gates a whole lot, like the mirror did here, or like the boots and mitts combination did here, where so much opens up to you when you get those.
Exactly.
And especially a lot of stuff that is not only, a lot of different things, but a lot of different things in variously wild and inconvenient places.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither of you, I think, checked the ether tablet, which was a terrible place.
I was waiting for like ether tablet or mimic cave or something like that to be just like one of those horrible grinded out for 30 minutes looking for go mode kind of things.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I would have really liked it to have been on powder. That would have been good for me. Yeah, ether tablet was gonna be. I mean, it wasn't gonna be my very last check, because my very last check was gonna be back at Thieves Town. But I think when I went into swamp, the only things I had were the 2 checks in Harrow, which Will did, and then ether tablet, and then that one item in Swamp Palace. Or I mean, not Swamp Palace, Thieves Town.
All right, so tomorrow, same time, I guess, for you two.
Yeah, it's keeping it easy, right?
I was gonna say same bat time, same bat channel, but I don't know what channel it's gonna be on, if any.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it could be on the new multi-stream.
Can we get like a gentleman's agreement right now that you'll just go for tile room next time?
I was gonna say the same thing,
dude. Honestly, I'm okay with that. Like, yes, I will agree to that. Straight up, no hope room, straight into tile room. I guess you don't need a key, right? So
just steal. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, here's the deal. We'll talk about this afterwards, but I feel like this has to just be contingent on finding the Cane of Samaria before you go into GT, which is going to be very unfortunate if someone does find it. and it's not required, but that's unlikely. But no, honestly, 2 towel rooms in a row. And I'm not going to lie, when I got done with Rando Room, I just knew it was going to be Tile Room. I don't know why. It just felt that way.
I was going to say, I saw a few people discussing in the chat, and I very much considered doing Tile Room on my way going to the right side there.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, it may well have been the better call, honestly, given where we were in the seed. But so not only did we have the race yesterday, but I also did like a just for fun race with a few people after our race last night, and it was also in Tile Room there. So I am just extra salty with this PRNG right now.
Yeah, that's ludicrous.
And you do know that the first thing that gets placed in the entire randomizer is the GT Big Key.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's not gating itself there. But no, this was I always I just like, I want to get a bomb start one time. This was a super free start. I'm really annoyed with myself that I got super greedy trying to bomb the top side of the back of the sewers, and I just dropped the bomb a split second before I intended to, and I couldn't get close enough to have it explode, because that would have been like the fastest non-boots, non-mirror escape I think I've ever had, because it was like hookshot and bow is just almost the best combination you can possibly get.
Yeah, the opening of that seed was real nice and free, and then it kind of slowed to a crawl, at least for me, for a while.
Well, same for me. Like, even though I got the boots pretty well, like looking at my map, the only thing I didn't check before the boots was the right side of Death Mountain and Hera. Like, that was it, right? So it's like I felt good about it, but I didn't feel like, oh my god, I just went up here so early before anything else. It wasn't that scenario. But yeah, let's get us the earlier boots. I want to start early boots. I want to go fast. And we got good swords in both of these, so that was fun. But no, looking forward to match 3 tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see where it goes from there.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. GG's, dude. Good luck again tomorrow.
Yep, same deal.
All right, congratulations to both of you once again. I want to go ahead and thank our runners here for putting on a great show, and you know, if you want to see more of this, they do this a bit, and you should probably give them a follow. I would. And I also want to thank our tracker, Sammy, for keeping track of all of the wonderful items on screen, and of course to my co-commentator here, Tau Decay. Thank you for joining me today.
It's my pleasure, Dr. Bob, and yeah, follow the runners if you like Randomizer, and especially if you like GT Big Key tile rooms, because apparently that's a running trend. And remember to give a follow to all the Speed Gaming channels for some more rando action while we are still in the midst of this tournament, giving you all the rando you can handle and more.
All right, I got to add a little educational content to this channel. What precisely is Tau Decay?
It is a form of particle decay from a tau lepton, which is a type of it's a physics thing. Don't worry about it too much.
I was like, which kind of quirk is it in? Anyway.
I'm worried about it. I'm not going to lie. I'm worried about it.
Anyway. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I hope everybody had a great time, and I will see you. I've been Dr. Bobtastic, by the way. Thought I'd say that. And I will see you all at a later occasion. Good night, everybody.